Hi everyone, I'm Pawan Pala, head of the IoT and emerging business for India. Uh, Thank you for inviting
I
us.
have to speak a bit closer to the mic.
Okay, sure. Thanks for inviting us to this panel. So essentially, I think the question here is, uh, what is the real business benefit that IoT has delivered, and how is it that we can learn from it and improve the experience for all stakeholders involved? So I think when we look at this industry and we talk about Industry 4.0 digital transformation, we see three basic building blocks, right? We see compute, we see storage, and we see connectivity. And if you look at it from an industry perspective, I think we are now, and if I talk about India specifically, we are seeing the onset of compute. The cloud players are in India, and we see the industry adopting these practices, maybe to start with on the IT side, but I think the real focus is on the OT side. So on the OT side, if you see, a lot of the processes today are manual, and all the data is still on-prem. They're still using cables, right, for connectivity. So I think the real potential here is to exploit the benefit of technology, which in our case we talk about connectivity along with our customers, and help us transform these industries, right? So I think if you look at from an enterprise perspective, they are looking for return on investment, right? So they want to start small, they want to take incremental steps, right? And so many times we have seen, companies doing proof of concepts which are fairly successful, but the biggest challenge they have is how do you scale these offerings? So either the device is not ready, they're not available at the right price points, and what if you want to go across multiple cities, across multiple countries, and maybe even go global? So I think the IoT business model is evolving. We ourselves look at rev share as a very, very basic requirement, but people are obviously also talking of outcome-based models. And that is exactly what is driving the whole business. So people are looking at solutions which can deliver value today, right? But the risk here is that you try to do something very quickly and then you realize that you will not be able to scale. For example, we have customers in the region who have managed to get say 20,000 customers on their fleet management platform, but then they realize that that platform will not scale. So I think the fact is that a horizontal offering is something which becomes very, very crucial in terms of scaling your offering. But then we see that people want to have early success. So what typically we see is people launching vertically, smart building, fleet management, and as Sundi rightly mentioned, automotive is the #1 market for India. And then once you kind of cross the barrier, then you think that I need to go and address other industries. Because finally, if you see, the horizontal offering should be such that it is agnostic to industry and where you can target multiple industries. You may select maybe one or two industries where you really want to go deep. So you may acquire, you may partner with somebody and go and address that industry vertically, end to end. But it's very difficult to replicate that success across different markets, right? So I think the key here is that the business is driving, and by the way, a lot of our customers globally have invested heavily. But honestly, we have seen that the returns are not that easy. So IoT or this business is typically 1 to 1.5% of total revenues. So I think the key here is to make it leaner, make it faster, and we need to realize that all the three building blocks are required. You need to have compute, storage, and connectivity working together. So that's where we feel that the ecosystem has to work very closely. Obviously, all of us on this panel and many more, because I don't think one company can go and do it all, right? So that's kind of a gist of, sometime back we were actually building the vertical expertise, right? We thought we can go and try to build this expertise, but unfortunately it was not scalable. So what we did now is we are kind of creating an ecosystem of partners. For example, we work with GE, we work with Hitachi, we work with Siemens, and I think the key is to focus on what competence we have, at the same time build a value proposition that makes a lot of sense to the enterprise. So what we do is, although our go-to-market is very clear, it is through our customers, the operators, we go and build these proof of concepts with the industry. For example, we are working with GE in the US to build a connected factory. We test the concepts and obviously we will then work with the operator. So in India as well, we have started exploring options into how we can actually build a good ecosystem. Because, and I also wanted to touch upon the value part, right? I think the biggest challenge we have today is, are people willing to pay? And think Sunil also highlighted that point. So I think the key is, if I take a few examples, if you're connecting a ship in the sea thousands of miles away, then obviously there is no question of value, right? That is value. Then, for example, if you're sending data from a sensor which is hundreds of kilometers in the rural area, which we have done today with NB-IoT, I don't think there is a question of value. There is no other technology that comes even close. So same way in manufacturing, if you get the right set of partners, if you build the right ecosystem, and then you position yourself as an end-to-end value proposition, it's much better than going and trying to sell connectivity as a standalone solution. And I personally feel that it's very difficult to build vertical overnight because it's very difficult to scale, and the customer situation changes, forget about country to country, even within a geography. So I think, as I said before, so our focus is on building horizontal expertise and focusing on a very few verticals, and the emphasis is on building partnership and the ecosystem.